Miles Davis and the Search for the Sound by Dave Chisholm, published by Z2. Came out late 2023. It's a biography of sorts of Miles Davis. It's not his complete life because he had such a rich life. He had so many contributions to music that this could have been 3 times as many pages. But I've been looking forward to this book for a long time. Dave Chisholm not only is a cartoonist, but he's also a trumpet player. He also teaches music. He did a wonderful graphic novel about Charlie Parker's time in Los Angeles in 1946, I believe. And I think he's uniquely qualified to do a graphic novel about Miles Davis. So without further ado, let's talk about it. I got this from Gutter Pop Comics, and they had Dave over for a signing. So Dave was nice enough to sign it, and also he drew this beautiful Miles Davis sketch. And I'm a huge Miles Davis fan. So I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Miles Davis fan. So I was really interested to see how this book came out. I have to say it's really authentic to Miles Davis. I mean, this is not like just getting facts and figures and dates and having all that. This actually feels like Miles Davis, if that makes any sense. Starts off in the early 80s. He's had a stroke, and he's lost the use of his right hand, which is, he's right-handed and he needs his hand. So the doctor suggesting that he draw to get motion and range in his hand. And then it flashes back to a scene that's in Miles Davis's biography, where he talks about walking back in the backcountry roads of Arkansas and hearing this strange sound of music, and just the music that's there, and how that always seemed to influence what he was looking for. And artistically, there's a couple of things that I really like about this book. First, the characters look like the characters, but they're not photo referenced. So it's not that thing where sometimes people will photo reference somebody and it looks almost like they cut a picture of somebody's head and pasted it in there. So it's not too cartoony. And secondly, the use of colors that Dave uses here to set tone and mood is outstanding. I mean, he's here backcountry roads and he hears this music, and it's this weird eerie blue at night. And then depending on where he's at, you have all different color palette. Here you have oranges and purples when he's in New York trying to find Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. And that's really why he went to New York. He went to Juilliard. He went to Juilliard to officially study music, but he really went to Juilliard because he wanted to be in New York, because he wanted to meet up with Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and learn how to play. You know, his relationships with and the Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, they are also presented faithfully based on what I've seen. Like I said, just the story is there. It's about his life. There's a few things I didn't know about, but a lot of it I did know. But how it's presented, this use of colors, just gorgeous. And I just love sometimes this distortion of like this cartoony, not cartoony, but there's like, yeah, this like distortion, almost like a fisheye lens kind of thing. And the use of colors is just out of sight. Here, uses hot reds to show when he's getting an argument with his wife. This is post his trip to Paris, where he met a longtime love of his, Juliette Greco, famous French actress, and then him coming back on the plane and how distraught he is. Because even though he was married, but Juliette, it was like somebody that was just going to be a lifetime love and a friend. Just love this use of reds and greens and yellows. Just really interesting. As I said, it looks like Miles, but it's not a photo reference, but you can tell it's Miles. Miles with them dark shades. You know, and with Gil Evans later in life. And like you saw, all of a sudden the color tones, the palettes are lighter and the lighting is different. Here there's a lot of shadows in his career. Just gorgeous work. It's a great story. Miles Davis is a fascinating character. I have on audiobook his autobiography, and I listen to that, I would say once a year, maybe once every 18 months. And even though I've heard it a million times and I know the stories, there's always some little thing I pick up on, because it's not just about I did this in music and I did that. It's about growing up wealthy, having to deal with racism. A lot of things he talks about, racism and capitalism then in 1991 are still true today. You see different sides of Miles. You see that he can be a nice guy, thoughtful guy. You can see he can be an angry guy. You can see that a lot of times he did not treat his wives well. Complicated guy. And this is when he discovers flamenco. I just love this hot reds and these yellows, these exaggerated poses just to show energy. This is seen from something in Spain, just gorgeous. They've really knocked it out of the park here with this. Artistically, this is great. So, as I said, this talks about the life of Miles Davis and about a lot of his approaches to music and that search for that sound. And I love this one panel because over the years, Miles Davis would get his bands and say, okay, for this album, I want this guy on bass, I want this guy on drums, I want this guy on keyboard. And he would mix and match. But guys would play with them, because if you play with Miles Davis, you're essentially made. It was like being in the Mom, where you're like a made member. Your career was set. So this was really useful for me, because like, okay, these are all the guys that play with them at different times. So I mean, on bass, you had guys like Ron Carter. On keyboard, you had Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, Keith Jarrett. Drums, Jacques DeJohnette, Al Foster. And this is like all in that electric period, that late 60s through the, I would say, 70s period. Pete Cossing guitar, John McLaughlin on guitar, Wayne Shorter on saxophone. Just if you look at a lot of these names you know about jazz, you like realize that these guys, a lot of these guys became giants in jazz music. And they all got their claim to fame by playing with Miles Davis. Miles Davis had a really good eye for talent and who would fit in, what sound he was trying to get to. And like I said, just this beautiful use of colors. Just sometimes in the wrong hands, this could have been too much, but here it's just right. Just a great, great book. So if you like Miles Davis, if you're interested in the story of a musician, I would definitely recommend this book. It's a lovely physical package. I know that there's a larger version. I think it's like $99. This was, I think, $39. But it's just a wonderful, great book. As I said, this is about I'm going to say 150 pages or so. This could have been 400 pages easily. But you don't feel like, oh, you know, they missed this part or they missed that part. There's just enough that's touched on everything, but it keeps the narrative there. So I can just say I recommend this book greatly. Dave really knocked it out of the park, and I'm looking forward to what he does next. Thanks.